Okay, let's just address the giant algorithmic elephant in the room regarding your future as a creator. If you've been paying any attention at all to the digital landscape lately, you've probably felt that creeping sense of dread, right? AI is writing, coding, designing, and just generating content at a scale and speed we've literally never seen before in human history. So, this brings us to the core question of this explainer. In a world of infinite AI content, what exactly are you worth? Well, today we're going to dive into some hard evidence that suggests your human quirks, your flaws, and your specific lived experiences might actually be your absolute greatest competitive advantage. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the rise of synthetic noise. Right now, we are smack in the middle of a massive cultural pivot. We're moving away from pure algorithmic efficiency, and we're pivoting hard toward raw, unscriptable friction. This is what we're calling the human premium. It's that irreplaceable, messy, biological spark of originality. It is your ultimate differentiator, and honestly, it's your ticket out of this sea of infinite synthetic noise. See, while machines are mastering the average, the real premium is now placed on what absolutely cannot be coded. And this is perfectly captured by Stanford researcher Manish Agarwala. He points out that today's AI models seem amazing on the surface, but they're actually terrible collaborators. Why? Because as a creator, you have no way of knowing what the AI will produce without incredibly precise guidance. Raw AI output lacks the actual friction of real human decision-making and intent. It doesn't have an opinion. It completely relies on you to supply the vision. Moving on to section 2, where AI algorithms fall short. There's a really stark contrast here between silicon and biology. AI models are fundamentally pattern bounds, right? They remix what's already known and they completely lack intuition. But humans? We actively seek out the unexpected. We leap way beyond historical patterns and we rely so heavily on gut instinct. Essentially, AI is stuck looking in the rearview mirror of its training data, while your messy human brain is busy peering around corners into the total unknown. To break this down a bit further, the ProMet AI framework on AI limitations is super helpful. According to them, machines only simulate creativity. They are completely missing the emotional and cultural context that actually gives art, writing, and ideas their weight. Because of this, they end up producing mechanical work that lacks genuine feeling. Their imaginative capacity is super narrow because they just can't simulate intuition, memory, or your lived experience. You know that wild abstract leap you make just because of some weird memory from your childhood? Yeah, an algorithm simply cannot replicate that serendipity. Okay, let's look at the data in section 3, proof of the human premium. So we have these massive, real-world case studies, and the results across the board are incredibly validating. In poetry, expert reviewers found that AI produced reasonably coherent but ultimately bland platitudes, whereas human poets delivered complex form and highly nuanced perspective. In a major lighting design competition, AI scored high on style and technical polish, sure, but human designers absolutely dominated when judged on novelty, originality, and surprise. And in music, researchers at Carnegie Mellon actually found that AI-assisted tunes were slower and less inventive, while purely human compositions were consistently judged as more creative. The data is crystal clear. AI handles the polish, but we humans bring the actual depth. And you've got to hear this number. In a landmark creativity test pitting over 100,000 human subjects against GPT-4, the models did beat the average person on divergent thinking tasks, but the top 25% of human minds significantly outscored the AI in generating highly creative stories and haikus. The big takeaway here isn't that AI is useless, it's that AI automates the average. The absolute peak of imagination, the real magic, is still fiercely held by that top tier of human weirdness. Which perfectly leads us to section 4, weaponizing your unique weirdness. You really have to start watermarking your content. Think of a literal watermark on a piece of high-end paper. You need to embed deliberate signals right into your work, using personal stories, odd humor, and insider data to flag to your audience that a real, breathing person is behind the creation. You have to prove your work is authentic and not just more AI slop churning out of a server farm somewhere. A great example of this is Casey Newton, a highly successful tech writer. He notes that he intentionally adds weird jokes and personal asides to show his readers that his content was written by him, not a bot. He's actively utilizing his unique quirks as a premium watermark. And what does that do? It builds immense trust with his newsletter readers because they actually feel a genuine connection to his specific human perspective. And speaking of trust, this staggering statistic from the healthcare sector really drives the point home. Studies show that patient trust increases by a massive 40% when human clinicians offer genuine empathy. Just let that sink in for a second. Empathy, reassurance, moral reasoning, these are things an algorithm literally cannot replicate. When you inject genuine care and meaning into your work, you are tapping into a premium that machines simply do not possess. So let's walk through some actionable steps recommended by industry experts like Junction Consulting, so you can inject that distinctly human touch into everything you produce. Step 1. Embed personal stories and contrarian opinions. Foreground your lived experience. Step 2. Cultivate a distinct voice and quirky humor. Really let your personality shine through that homogeneous AI prose. Step 3. Apply emotional insight and ethical judgment. Try to frame your ideas around values and purpose. And step 4. Explore broadly and stay curious. You have to continually feed your brain diverse inputs, travel, hobbies, meeting new people. Because the richer your experience is, the richer the dots you can connect. Dots that an AI's fixed training data will never, ever see. All right, bringing it all together in Section 5, the ultimate creative partnership. Look, the goal here isn't to completely reject AI, but to put it in its proper subordinate place. Use AI as a springboard for the routine groundwork. Let it do the research, the drafting, the data sorting. But always, always apply the final intuitive human touch to achieve truly innovative results. It's kind of like a major fashion brand that uses AI for initial trend sketches, but then intentionally brings in human designers for the final intuitive tweaks to the fabric and flow. Treat AI as your ideation partner, not your surrogate. You're the director here. AI is basically just your production assistant. And this quote perfectly summarizes everything we've explored in this explainer. AI will not replace creators, but profoundly transform how they imagine, explore, and create for those who choose to use it. The future doesn't belong to the algorithms. It belongs to those who use the algorithms to preserve and amplify the one asset that AI can never, ever clone: the original messy human spark. I want to leave you with a final thought today. How will you use your messy biological spark to watermark your next creation? The world is absolutely flooded with synthetic noise right now, and people are so hungry for your unique weirdness. Your voice and your exact perspective have literally never been more valuable than they are right at this very moment. So how will you step up and use it today? Stay curious out there, and I really can't wait to see what you create next.